before you begin, you want to look at the goat's feet. This goat feet are not in bad shape, but it's better to keep up with it, do it more often, so that they don't get in bad shape, and that way it's pretty easy chore when you decide to go trim your goat's feet. But you want to visualize how the foot looks, how it's supposed to be, and a good way to get that visual picture is to picture how a baby goat's feet look, because they come out, they're just about perfect, they're just right. So if you visualize that in your mind, and then you just look and see how this one looks compared to that visual, because sometimes they'll get real long-toed and they'll start to fold under right here, which we're going to pick this up and look at it. Okay, this if you look here, you can tell this is pretty flat. Like I said, this goat's feet are in pretty good shape, but you can see how it's starting to fold over on the edge here. And before you start cutting, you want to look at that, feel this soft part of the hoof. You don't want to get down into the quick when you're cutting them. It'll make them a little bit sore, but this outside part, like I said, these are flat, so you can just lay it right here and just cut that off where it's getting flat. And this inside has the same tendency to want to roll over a little bit. Doesn't have too much toe right there, so you've just flattened that out nicely. You just start right here, just lay these down there flat on that surface, and it just peels right off. Especially, as I said, when they're kept in pretty good shape, you don't have much trouble with it. You don't want to stick the point down into the quick. You just want to lay it flat on the surface of his hoof, and then you can just kind of feel. He's got to walk on that. So if you can put it on your hand, you can tell it's nice and flat. Then you can use your rasp to finish that off. Again, a flat surface. Again, you don't get too aggressive because this part of this foot is soft. You just want it to be flat, and that's another good tool for this. You set that on there. Let's see if he's walking flat. Set it down on a hard surface and look at it and make sure you're doing good. At goat camp, we learned that a good way to study the hooves is when they're on a stand, because that's more like how they're going to be showing. Their heads up, they're standing on a flat surface, and you can tell how the hoof looks. You want to study the hoof again and visualize how the hoof should look. So we look here, and this one again is not bad. He's not twisting. We're not going to talk much about corrective hoof trimming. We're just going to talk about basic hoof trimming, which most goats, that's really all you need is the basics. If you get into corrective, you really have to make sure you know what you're doing when you start trying to correct one. Okay, we're going to lay this in here again. We don't have too much to trim off of this goat. Just lay it on there flat. Make sure your points aren't getting into the quick, and you just trim that right off on the outside. Again, lay it kind of flat on that hoof. Get that inside part off. Again, I'm laying it flat. See the difference there? How this looks flat now compared to that. This one you have to kind of twist around there to get to. It's better to take little bits at a time instead of try to get a whole chunk, because you sure can't put it back on. So just start taking little bits at a time until you get it looking flat. Then again with our rasp here, just hit that just a little bit to make sure it's good and flat. You can study these goats. They'll walk a little bit and make one side of lean a little bit, but you always want it to look on, to get that hoof where it's on a flat surface, where it fits right on a flat surface. If you do go a little bit too far and you get a little blood, you'll see a little speck of blood right there. He's going to be a little bit tender when he walks on it. But I recommend getting some of the Cooper Tox or horse's feet. You can use it in a little spray bottle, spray it on the bottom of their feet, especially if you get into the quick and you get a little speck of blood. Just make sure you go ahead and stop if you do get some blood, and so you don't want to get down into the quick too much. Again, this nice flat rasp surface, you can check yourself, look down on it, and tell if the goat's able to walk flat. You can use a board, or this rasp works good because you can see just that all parts of his hoof is meeting that flat surface. And really, you look at the whole part of the foot, or all parts of that foot hitting down just like you want them to hit, square on the ground. Now, this has a little bit of an angle, so you don't want to get this that hoof too straight here. You want to just leave it. You gotta strive for natural. The way the hoof naturally grows. So you have just a little bit of angularity there, so you don't get it too flat. If you start getting into this toe again, you'll get into the quick and get blood. Another real good reason to keep these show animals' hoofs trimmed is because they'll get manure and mud compacted into those folds, and you can get hoof infections. And when we have periods of rain and it stays wet, you can see this stuff will cake down in there. You want to get that cleaned out because that's a perfect place for an infection. Once your show animal gets an infection in his feet, he's not going to be able to walk right and not look good in the show ring. So you make sure you keep that cleaned out and these feet trimmed, and it's going to keep that spot from gathering the mud and manure that it would be when they're untrimmed. You see this has a perfect little area for collecting mud and manure. Just trim that right off. You can see there won't be a spot for it to collect in, so this goat won't get a hoof infection, or he's less likely to get a hoof infection from the mud and rain.